Thanks, Eamon Javers. Thanks very much. Now it's time for our viewer outrage segment. So as President Obama gets ready to unveil his big tax break for business, we ask, is he doing enough for small business? Harvard economics professor Martin Feldstein weighed in on the president's plan on Squawk on the Street.
The trouble with the president's program, announced as a multi-part package, is that while he claims that it's pro-business, at the same time, he's delivering a message that small businesses and high-income individuals are going to have to face higher tax rates right away.
All right, here's what you're saying. Steve says the president has done absolutely nothing for small business. In this economic climate, the banks are not giving any special consideration to the plight of small business. All right, joining us now, Bill Dunkelberg, chief economist, the National Federation of Independent Business, and Erica Payne, the Agenda Project founder and president. Hi, guys. Bill Dunkelberg, start with you. Do you agree with Marty Feldstein's point that raising the top tax rate for the wealthiest is anti-small business and offsets whatever good the faster depreciation would do?
Well, Larry, I don't know if it offsets it or not totally, but it's certainly not a good idea. I mean, we're taxing success. That's a good way to slow the economy down. As many people have said, you know, you don't get a job working for a poor person. This is what success is about. So why do that? And somehow we villainize saving. That is, we talk about rich people don't spend enough of their money. Therefore, it's like they throw it away. But, you know, without saving coming into the financial system, we don't have money to finance investment. So it's really a very, very bad idea, I think.
Erica, you say it's a good idea, right?
Yeah, I think that this whole thing is sort of, you know, let's throw the small business boogeyman in the middle of everything, which conservatives really like to do to try to defend themselves against charges that they're really their base, as President Bush said once at a black tie dinner, is people who make $1 million a year or more in income. If you look at what President Obama has done for small businesses, the best thing you can do is expand demand, which is, you know, where if small businesses, if more people are buying things, they need to hire more people to deal with that demand. And so President Obama gave a tax cut to 95% of people earlier in his first budget. And right now he wants to extend the Bush tax cuts to 98% of people. And so, you know, when John Boehner says let's compromise and extend them for 2 years, it's completely insincere and preposterous. If he wants to compromise, let's agree on the 98% of people keeping that tax cut that is what President Obama wants, and then let's argue later about the 2%.
I think the other point, Bill, from Marty Feldstein was that with the health care bill as well, that's another tax on small businesses. So whatever you give them on business write-off is certainly being offset by higher income taxes and then also the cost of this health care plan.
Absolutely. That's certainly a tax. And of course, the regulatory stuff that comes with it is a tax on the entrepreneur as well. The most valuable asset a small firm has is the entrepreneur's time. Look at this 1099 provision, which is nonsense out of the health care bill, all kinds of stuff like that. So, you know, we're really taxing the resources of these small firms. And you can talk about giving them a tax cut or giving them expensing, but that's not the issue. I think that the real issue is where's the demand? That's the real issue for small businesses. And the stimulus starting back in January of 2008 really hasn't addressed the consumer to any substantial amount. And that's the key. There's no confidence.
How do you do that?
Well, you know, we suggested back in January of 2008 that you suspend the payroll tax. If you want to spend, say, $500 billion or $860 billion, whatever you want, you borrow that money and then you suspend the payroll tax. That puts a lot of money into paychecks very quickly. And of course, for most people, you know, about 80% of the taxpayers, they pay more in the FICA taxes than they do in the income tax. So that would have been very nice back then. They're talking about it now, but of course, it's like almost 2 years later.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the payroll tax was extended for 6 months, number one. Number two, 95% of people got a tax cut. Number three, we're talking about keeping a tax cut for 98% of people. And let's really talk about whether or not small business is going to be affected by raising the taxes on 2% of every single person who has small business income. 2% of them are in the top income earners.
Let me throw it at you. If you were running a small business, you run a nonprofit, as I understand. But
well, I ran a small business for 8 years.
Okay, so then you're running a small business.
Right.
What would incentivize you to go out and hire people right now if you're worried about a higher tax environment because you take on that extra employee?
Well, so the single thing that's going to drive a small business this is more demand and access to credit. Those are the two things that are going to make a small business do something other than what it's doing right now. Raising a tax rate, and keep in mind, this is not on business income. I mean, this is not on business gross receipts, okay? It's on business income, which is after you take off expenses.
It's on net profits.
Okay?
50%.
Right,
of
exactly.
The net
So you're going to raise your net profit
so
is
that's
going to
the key.
go up 4% from where it is right now, and you really think that's going to keep somebody from hiring
Erica,
somebody?
wait a second. You're throwing around. This business about only 3% misses the point that 50% or better of the top income people pay the profits on small businesses because they file a personal return. You're obfuscating that point, as you well know.
No, that's not accurate, Larry. Larry, of all the people who claim any small business income, all the people who claim any small business income, 2% of them fall in the top income bracket, and those 2% are the only people who are going to be affected, not to mention the fact that most of it's corporate law firms.
Erica, they pay 50% of the net profits. That's the point that you're not allowing. That's what the Joint Tax Committee said. That's what the Congressional Budget Office said. I understand your political disagreement with this program, but I just want to get the facts right. That's the only thing that's necessary here. Look, all the CBO, Joint Tax, there's no disagreement that the top earners are the ones who pay at least half of the net business profits from the subchapter S or the LLCs. There's no disagreement there. That's the fact.
That 2 or 3% number is also bogus. You know, it includes in the denominator paper boys and people who make money on you. You know, that's nonsense. There are 6 million employers out there, not 30 million small businesses, and those are the ones we really care about. And they do earn higher amounts of money because they have successful businesses. And you know, so the 3% number is way too low.
So let's think about how many people in this country do you think make an income of $1 million or more a year? Okay, it's 321,000 people.
Well,
we're talking about raising taxes
there's 750,000. This is, again, from the Joint Tax Committee and the Congressional Budget Office. There were roughly 750,000 filers that pay that top rate off of small business income. Now, you can diss the 750,000. That's up to you. But that's a big number. And those are disproportionately important, successful business owners.
But Larry,
guys.
Extending the Bush tax cuts to 98% of people, I mean, it seems like everybody's in agreement on that. So why not just pass that? And then we can actually have a philosophical and values-oriented discussion as a country about what we want to do about people like Lloyd Blankfein,
why not take
who makes
Peter
$60 million a year.
Why not take Peter Orszag?
That's a good note.
Peter Orszag, who was Obama's former budget director, just said, let's pass the whole thing, including the upper end. And there's a deal.
Okay.
There's a deal.
Larry,
pass
that's
the whole
not
upper
what he
end.
said.
And
what
also,
he said,
and Obama's dead right about the 100% write-off.
Guys, thank you for joining.
Larry,
Obama's
that's actually not what Peter Orszag.
We're just getting them started.